Hello everybody and welcome back to Pokemon White 2. So in the last part we faced off against Hugh again, and we began our search for a lost Herdier, which as you can see on screen, there it is. But apparently the Herdier is with somebody. But who is he exactly? And we're all gonna find out after this wild encounter. With a Mareep. Wow, Mareep. Yeah, apparently I couldn't find you while I was trying to get my Riolu, but instead now you just but apparently now you decide to show up. Wow. Okay, but anyways, now as I'm trying to get this Mareep here. Now I guess I should go over some more Pokemon that you can also get within the Dream Radar. Now, I'm not talking about the legendary Pokemon. Not the free Pokemon that I will be covering later. I'm more so talking about the other legendary Pokemon that you can actually get within that game. Now, if you just happen to install the cartridges of Gen 4 titles, of the Gen 4 titles onto the 3DS, then you'll be able to catch the legendary Pokemon from those titles, and those Pokemon being Dialga, Palkia, Giratina, Lugia, and Ho-Oh. Now Dialga, Palkia, and Giratina will have the ability on telepathy. Lugia will have a multi-scale, and lastly Ho-Oh will have the ability for Regenerator. So if you wanted those abilities for those legendary Pokemon, then now as long as you have those cartridges, then go for it. But anyways, everyone. Yeah, and as you can see, yeah, it turns out that this guy is actually a member of Team Plasma. Yeah, now unlike the Team Plasma, that we went through in the prequel titles, where they tried to liberate Pokemon, but instead this time they simply just want to just steal Pokemon and just this time Team Plasma are essentially just like full on criminals now. Yeah, all they really do is just to like take everybody's Pokemon, and that's it. Yeah. and considering that he was incredibly frustrated that we found him, he actually gave us our very first tier. He actually gives us the TM frustration, which is indeed, of course, our very first TM in the game. So yeah. Now I guess frustration can be good early on, considering that the Pokemon that you catch, they're probably not going to be as friendly towards you in the beginning. But as you walk with them, level them up and whatnot, then frustration isn't exactly going to be all that. It isn't exactly going to be all that reliable and whatnot. So frustration isn't exactly going to be all that reliable, you know, for like end game purposes. But anyways. Now, even though we found the Herdier, yeah, Hugh still gets upset at the Floccesy Ranch owner for not exactly, you know, worrying like to pieces about the like Herdier. Yeah, now, this is but again, this is something that we are gonna get into more of why Hugh wants to become a really strong trainer. Yeah, but anyway, anyways, everyone, now that we have found that Herdier, now we can no longer heal here, so if you want to heal here again, unfortunately, you cannot anymore. So the only way that you're gonna be healing, now I would say, yeah, if you got yourself injured, before going to that Team Plasma Grunt, then I would say heal up before you go talk to him. Because, well, you may get into something that we obviously aren't going to get into as soon as we go back to full Floccesy Town. And that, of course, being what we are going to be getting from Alder here, who is essentially going to give us another tutorial. Yeah, it's something that you've probably already delved into. If you have already played plenty of Pokemon titles. Now, anyways, now as we get into this, now there is something else that you can actually do. Now there is an area that is actually just up to the north of where Alder lives in. That actually being, that's a house right there. Now over to the left side, and here's where you can get an X speed. But on the other side, yeah, now we have ourselves a pathway which will take us to an area called the Pledge Grove. Now, this area may not look like much. Now, but we have this big rock here where it says 3 sharp marks are deeply cut into the rock. Now, if you are basically just playing the game, then the area around here isn't going to be all that. It isn't really going to be all that important. But, however, if you just so happen to bring a very specific Pokemon that you can only get through an event called Keldeo, and now if you actually bring Keldeo into your party and go right over to the Pledge Grove, then Keldeo if you let Keldeo out of its Pokeball, then it will excitedly examine the rock, and that it is reminded of a move called Secret Sword, and by the determination of Cobalion, Virizion, and Terrakion, that has been carved into the rock. And if the player allows it to learn the move Secret Sword, the spirits of the free legendary Pokemon will appear. Then zoom away. Keldeo will resolve to battle, and it will transform into its resolute form. Now, yes, everyone. Now in Black 2, that's right, everyone. In Black 2 and White 2, they gave a Keldeo a new form, but it's something that you can only get through an event. Now, and while we can actually catch a Keldeo within Sword and Shield, but even to this day, I don't know if it's even possible for you to get the Resolute form now. Yeah, because I never really bothered to go even looking for if we can actually find a possibility for us to be able to do that. But anyways, anyway, always everyone. Now also, now with that transformation, now if the Chaldean already knows the secret sword, but isn't still in its ordinary form, it will skip trying to learn the move, but will still change forms. So yeah, it will still change forms no matter what. Yeah. Anyway, always everyone. Now what you're seeing on screen right now, the tutorial that Alder is giving us is essentially making you learn how super effective and non-super effective types work. Now, as for the Pokemon that these two trainers utilize, yeah, they are of course different, depending on the starter that you chose. Now, considering that we have Oshawott, now we started off fighting against a Pansear, and we end things off with fighting a Pansage. Now, and if you chose Tepig, you will fight a Pansage first, then you will face off against Panpour. And of course, if you chose Snivy, then you will fight a Panpour first. Then you will face off against a Pansear after that. So yeah, like I said, now this tutorial here is essentially making you learn how type matchups work. Just a few type. Just a few matchups, that is. Yeah, as it says, Pokemon types are very important. Well, yeah, more so, very important if you want to get through the battles really quickly. But however, yeah, it says here that time matchups don't decide everything. Well, for the most part, they do. Yeah, for the most part, they do. Yeah, more so if you want to be able to get through the battles more quicker. So, yeah. Yeah, and of course, so for those of you that don't know, now if a Pokemon of the same type or a type utilizes the move that matches its typing, then it will get a boost in, then of course it will get a boost in power. But however, it is still a good idea for you to be able to utilize moves that aren't exactly their types. Yeah, which is exactly what I am going to continue. Which is what I'm going to continue doing. Oh yeah, now you see, here's where we get introduced to a mechanic for Black 2 and White 2, where it's never gonna be a major chore if you really want to bother with this. Yeah. Now he gives us an item called a metal box. And with it, now we start off a thing called a metal challenge, where if you are now he says about a competition called the metal rally. Now with that, now as you go for the game, and you also complete certain tasks, then you are able to get specific. Then you are able to get specific medals, and as you get more medals, the higher rank that you'll get. Now if you just happen to get 50 medals, then you'll be able to get your rookie rank, and if you manage to get 100 medals, you'll get your elite rank. And if you get 150 medals, then you'll be able to get your master rank. And if you manage to get the legend, then you'll be able, and if you just happen to get if you happen to get 200 medals, then you'll be able to get your legend rank. Now if you're proud, Now, here is the thing about this. I am not gonna show. Now, I would say. Now, as I just said, the way you get these medals is gonna be a chore. Meaning that there's gonna be very specific medals that you can only get for very specific means. And considering how much time it will really take for me to get all of them, I am definitely not gonna bother getting every single medal in the game. Yeah, I am not gonna bother getting every medal in the game. But, however, I will show off as many medals as I could possibly get. And I mean possibly get. Yeah. Now, also, with the way that you get these medals, and also, everyone, now with the way that you get these medals, now, if it just so happen to step into any sort of like Pokemon Center, then Mr. Metal Guy that you saw, now then he will not only give you medals, and he will also give you medal like hints. Hint medals, giving you, which of course, will give you several hints about how exactly are you able to get your next set of medals. So now, if you want to be able to find out how exactly you get them, then definitely get yourself a bunch of those hint medals. Now, as for what Alder just said, before we hand ourselves off to. Back to Aspertia City. Not only as what you just saw. Now he not only gives you a few orange berries, but he also tells us that apparently that a new gym leader just showed up in Aspertia City. Yeah, making this the very first games within the series, allowing us to be able to which makes this the first games in the series to actually have a gym in the first city in the first town / city that you actually start off the game with. Now, the closest that we got to that was Herdier City, being close to Town and Kanto. And then during Hoenn, while your player character's dad, being Norman, is the leader of the Petalburg gym, but you still had to go to Alder Town first, in order for you to be able to reach Petalburg City. So yeah, like I said, Black 2 and White 2 are the only titles to actually have a gym. In the first town / city that you actually start off the game with. And then as for the gym leader, yeah, he's actually somebody that we also met within the prequel titles. Yeah. And he's definitely gonna be once again an important character in the series. One more so for these games anyway. But anyways, everyone, yeah, now, like I said here, yeah, now here's where we get Mr. Metal here. Yeah, where he tells us that we have done terrific. Then he's gonna give us at least a few medals, at least one or more medals. Then he'll give us some extra medals. Now as for the two medals that we now have, now the first one being first step, Meaning now that one is now you essentially get that one no matter what. Yeah, now you essentially get that medal no matter what. It essentially making you start off the medal rally. Then as for the one that we just got here, being the smart shopper. Now the way that you get that one is that what you saw previously. Now when I bought 10 Pokeballs, I received a Premier Ball. Yeah, now that is essentially what the smart shopper one does. Yeah. Now you essentially just have to get your first Premier Ball. By purchasing 10 Pokeballs. And also, wouldn't you know that the first gym in the game was also in the same location of a trainer's school. Yeah, now yes right now. How do you like that? Now, not only is the first gym in the first town slash city in the game, but it is also the location of the trainer school. Yeah, meaning that the gym leader, meaning that this new gym leader is not only a gym leader, but is also a teacher where he can easily explain to others, to students, how to battle. How to battle in the proper way. So yeah, you could definitely say this gym leader has definitely got something going. And like I said previously, now this gym leader is somebody that we've met within the previous titles, within the prequels. And also, as you can see here, now from what this guy said here, now the Aspertia gym is indeed a normal type gym. So if you just happen to get a Riolu, well, even though you do get a Riolu in Floccesy Ranch, but you may want to level him up a tad bit more so that you can give him a proper fight type move. Yeah, before you even think about going into the Aspertia gym. But if you're still confident enough to be able to do it, then I will still say go for it, because now the Aspertia gym isn't all that challenging. It's just that, well, if you don't want to get yourself overpowered, then I would say just go for it anyway. But as with that said, that should be all I'm gonna do for this part. And so for the next one, we're gonna be challenging the first gym. And so to then, I'll see you guys next time.